Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
On the show with us today, all the way from Winnipeg, Canada. We actually met vicariously through a mutual acquaintance of ours. I should say, a couple of mutual acquaintances of ours through the Ultimate Music Business Summit. Gloria St. Germain is the founder and CEO of Ultimate Music Theory. She's an international best-selling author of over 60, count them, 60 books in the Ultimate Music Theory series, and 5 books in the Power of Why musician series, of which I have 2 copies sitting here on my desk. She is a 2-time TEDx speaker, YouTube video host, producer of the Global Music Teachers Summits, expert music teachers coach, and creator of the Ultimate Music Theory Certification Elite Educator Program and Music Business Mastery Live events. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bob. Super excited to be here.
I am so glad that we could finally connect and make this happen. You and I have had a few conversations over the past couple of months, I will say. And what I found so very interesting is not only are you a TEDx speaker, which in itself is very cool, and a YouTube host and a producer of summits, but you're also the author of 60 books, plus your 5-book In the Power of Why musician series. Where do you get all the time to do this?
It's interesting you said that, Bob. I remember doing some research and reading about Einstein, and he said, while others slept, I would write. And there was many sleepless nights in writing. But when you're passionate about it, I think that's when you just get the momentum, along with a lot of cups of coffee, to write. You want to serve other people and help others overcome the obstacles and challenges that I did. So that was my passion.
Let's go back to the very beginning, if you don't mind. You grew up in Canada, I assume.
Yes.
How did you get started in the music business?
Well, I grew up in a musical family, and so music was it was kind of like breathing, it's just what you did. And so upon taking music lessons and all my friends were babysitting, I decided that I would make 5 times more money, already an entrepreneur at the age of 16, if I would teach music. So I started teaching music, and then, you find things that don't work and you want to fix them. And so you become an entrepreneur and go from there. So it was just, I think my path was laid before me. I just followed it.
Were you a professional musician at any point? Piano teaching, obviously, at the age of 16. Did you ever get a little bug in your ear to go out on the road and tour and perform?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only did I get the bug in the ear to go out and perform, but I kind of took another route and landed up marrying a superstar. And so I just took him on the road and produced the shows. And we went to Germany and Israel and Cyprus and, across North America. My husband is Ray St. Germain. He's in the Canadian Country Music Hall of Fame. And we took a lot of other acts with us as well, performing for the Canadian Armed Forces. So I would say I have my ARCT, so I am, an accomplished pianist, but hitting the stage and backstage. And I know you know this all too well because you have been stage manager and a million other things. So for so many acts, that like you said, it's the business part of music where it takes more than one to put the show on the road.
All those years of touring and performing and producing for your husband and yourself and others, where did the idea come to become an author, especially of 60 books? And I really want to dig into the 5-book in the Power of Why series in a little while, but was writing something that you just were inclined to do in the beginning? And obviously, I'm going to assume because you were in music business, you were passionate about it, especially music education. That was kind of the direction you wanted to go?
Absolutely. Yeah. As an educator, I've always felt it was important to share the language, of music theory. What happened for me was that I just couldn't really find any materials that were easy for students to understand. So because of the pain point of my students not wanting to do music theory, I decided to write little worksheets and so on. They eventually became books. And you will appreciate this because we're talking business and we're talking making money and how to become an entrepreneur. And as I presented my books to, publishers, they sort of said, go away, little girl, and come back after you've sold, a few thousand books. And so I said, oh, okay, you're going to play that game. So I became a publisher and, we've sold over $1 million worth of books. And now I would not go back to anyone and say, here, could you publish my books? I love being a publisher and I love helping teachers. And my passion, Bob, came because I knew that music teachers needed the resources to teach music theory, regardless of what instrument or voice, whether they're teaching voice or any instrument, you got to read. And that's really how to elevate your skill set as a musician. And then you can go on the road and you can play with anyone because you've got the skill sets, right?
Where in your professional career did you learn to become a book publisher? That in its own right is heads above a lot of other people. Was that something that was self-taught for you?
100%. As I said, I wanted to find a publisher. I didn't even know how to typeset. I didn't know how to do anything. Remortgaged my home. Talk about being in business. You are an independent. I just had to go and do whatever it took to put my books on the marketplace. And they were there and I did it. And I think having a positive attitude, getting a coach, being open to learning. And I follow the best in the industry to see how did they do it. I admire you as a podcaster. We've talked about the podcasting business and I'm like, follow the best, learn from the best, be open. And I think as a musician and as a business owner, I am open to learning. I love learning new things. So I learned how to be a publisher. I didn't know what an ISBN number was or a barcode. I didn't know anything, but you find out. And believe me, I could write a book on how to publish a book.
Let's talk about your first book that you wrote. What was that about?
The first book that I wrote was Basic Rudiments. And once I started that, I realized that there was a need for musicians to go from the beginner ABC level, which is just for little 5-year-olds, all the way through to advanced and complete, which is for adults. So to the best of my knowledge, it is the only music theory series out there that has a correlating music theory app that goes with the music theory workbooks and that goes through all those levels. Often you just find books that are just for beginners or books that are advanced or books that are on harmony or, little pieces. But the Ultimate Music Theory Workbook series encompasses all of those and including answer books and including online teacher training courses. So we provide information and education for educators to grow their music teaching business through our Ultimate Music Theory certification course. So we are here on the business side of music to help teachers grow their businesses.
It's so interesting you bring that up because I remember as a teenager being a budding bass player and budding guitarist and wanting to learn music theory books, music educational books as a whole were few and far between. And you either had, as you said, in the very simplistic beginning level, this is music lesson 101, or you had like the Ted Green guitar chord book that had 4,000 different variations of how to play a G7. And there really wasn't anything in between. So it seems to me that you found that hole and you figured out a way to fill it.
Yeah. I think one of the things too, as a researcher, Bob, I really searched for what is effective learning. You and I can pick up a book and not be inspired, not actually even learn anything because it's so confusing to learn. And in doing my due diligence, I realized that it can actually be detrimental to learning and you can just not want to do it. And I wanted to make the Ultimate Music Theory books fun so that students are engaged, they want to do more pages and they understand it. So that for me is the key to creating the musicians, which kind of leads into the power of why, because every single author, as I created that anthology series, was a musician that had to learn music theory. And those that say, I don't teach it and I don't know it and I don't learn it, I'm saying, well, then you're not a musician, because whether you say the words music theory or you just sing two notes, either way, you have to understand the language.
Music theory, I think when you say that, when you put those two words together, music and theory, it becomes a bit daunting for a lot of people, especially musicians who are maybe self-taught. How do you get over that hurdle?
I think one of the keys for especially self-taught musicians is simply being open to saying, well, listen, you're self-taught. You obviously are a creative genius. You love to learn. You love to play. You need to elevate your skill set, just as myself as a teacher. If I say, I've been teaching for 20 years plus, that doesn't make me an expert and tell me I can stop learning. And for self-taught musicians, I invite you to check out the Ultimate Music Theory Complete Rudiments Workbook, the Complete Rudiments course. I created that specifically for self-taught musicians so that they can feel confident in speaking the language. Because when you go and sit in and jam with the band and they say, it's whatever the chord is, whether you're playing a blues scale, whatever it might be, you need to know what they're talking about. And it's kind of embarrassing if you're the singer and you don't understand what key you sing in. So you just keep saying, I sing in the key of G. One of my students did that, by the way. she just said, I always sing in G. And I said, no, you don't. You have a vocal range. You don't sing in the key of G. But anyway, that's another story.
On the show with us today, all the way from Winnipeg, Canada, Glory St. Germain.
Hi, everyone. This is Carl Conkham, Managing Director of Warner Music Thailand, and you're listening to The Business Side of Music.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
As a musician, you have a dream, that vision of what success looks like for you. Though it's not only about the money, money is part of it. Whether you've been extremely successful or you're just striving to maintain a regular cash flow, you need a plan. Money Concepts can help you develop a customized plan to achieve the financial stability and success you want. For over 40 years, Money Concepts has been providing holistic financial planning services to individuals, families, and business owners. As an independent firm, Money Concepts and their associates are committed to always represent the best interest of the client. It's really about a committed, benevolent interest in them personally. This independence, coupled with that committed, benevolent interest, means they represent you, the client, not a product supplier. It's not about selling products, it's about helping you achieve success. To learn how this can benefit you, contact my buddy, John Adams, with Money Concepts at 737-867-9309. That's 737-867-9309. You can also email John at jadams@moneyconcepts.com.
Hey, this is Jack Sharkey, host of Between the Notes. Take a break from all the turmoil in the world and join us each week as we explore the magic, mystery, and beauty of music. Between the Notes, a podcast dedicated to everything music, available everywhere you get your podcasts.
You're listening to The Business Side of Music.
Back on the show with us here, Glory St. Germain, who is the founder and CEO of Ultimate Music Theory. She's also the best-selling author of over 60 books in the Ultimate Music Theory series and 5 books in the Power of Why musician series. And that's where I want to go right now. You were so gracious to send me a couple of the books of that series. It is a 5-book series, as I said, The Power of Why. And this is really a compilation of people within the industry providing their insight. Am I correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In teaching, we have the Ultimate Music Theory certification course for teachers. And the reason I started the Power of Why Musicians series is because I found so many educators considered themselves just a music teacher. And I wanted to showcase industry leaders that all have stories of overcoming obstacles in their careers. They've had mountains that they had to climb. They had to break barriers in the industry. And sometimes when you are inspired by the power of why do you become a superstar? Why do you become an international best-selling author? When you come and to read these chapters, it's there for you to find yourself and to say, oh my gosh, I can relate to that person. That's how I felt. And if they can do it, I can do it. So it's really the power of why we do what we do.
Of the 5 books and the 2 that I have here sitting on my desk at the moment, one is Why 27 Musicians Captured the Lead. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind, take us down that path for a moment, and 2 things, capturing the lead and why you chose those 27 people.
So capturing the lead means very often we are, the backup singers, we're the backup players in the band. And so capturing the lead means you're now the front man. You're now the leader of the group. So I'll use, for example, 2 people here. Mike Reno. So Mike Reno is the lead singer in Loverboy. They have sold over 10 million rock albums. And when we look at Mike Reno, he was a drummer sitting at the back of the bus, so to speak. And so what catapulted him? And to this day, they're still touring. So when you look at these stories, and if you're a drummer, you might think, well, if Mike can do it, maybe I can do it. So it's really there to inspire people. And as I look at the people who are in that, including some of my family members, Sherry St. Germain, my daughter, she's a music producer, instrumentalist, recording artist. She's based out of Las Vegas. I look at the people that have really made a difference in the world of music education. Tulane, who is from Zimbabwe, Africa, and the struggles that he had even to get music. So how did that happen for him? And how did he even come to meet me and become one of our Ultimate Music Theory teachers? So I just wanted to share the passion of having a dream and overcoming those obstacles to succeed in the industry. And I'm really proud of those, musicians and the stories that they shared, because they brought me to tears. One of them, Heather Ravel, shared her story of finding out that she was adopted and this devastation that she felt completely empty. And what saved her was her music. She would go to her piano and she would just pour her heart onto, composing and playing. And she said, if it wasn't for music, she doesn't even know where she'd be today. So when we think about those artists and what they had to overcome to get to where they are today, it's quite remarkable.
How did you go about selecting those 27 artists for this book, and why 27? That seems to be such an unusual number.
Well, I wrote 5 books. And I love odd numbers. So I did 21, 23, 25, 27, and 29. And I hunted for the people. So many of these were, not all of them, but many of them have been speakers in the global music summits that I host. And so I've got to meet many of them through that capacity. Some of them have become friends on Facebook. Some of them I've searched out because I recognize them as composers, music producers, entertainers in their own right, music educators. So I was looking for people that have taken that step from the back of the bus to the lead, to what has it taken for them to step into that role. So that was really what I was looking for. Francis Belotis, who is also in the book, was a music teacher that just started to write a few little notations to teach students in groups. And she became the founder of Music for Young Children. I taught that program for over 20 years myself, and my children went through the program. And when I see how and this is BC, before computers, how did you build a business and now continue to grow it? And I think her story really embraces building relationships. I think that sometimes is the key that people forget about, is that it's not just, oh, I'll connect with so-and-so, build a relationship, right? That's how we can then, now I've done so many business deals on a handshake. And to me, that still means the most. I know a contract's a contract, but I'm depending, of course, but I think this really, I wanted to inspire people to say, if you have an idea, just take the first step and you can do it.
One of the things that I noticed when I was going through both of the books, and once again, these are 2 books out of a 5-book series in The Power of Why, is that each chapter is really sort of a short vignette from that individual person. How difficult was that to pull those out of those people? And then how difficult was it for you to put that all together in such an order that made sense? Now, I'll preface that by saying what I've been able to read since this weekend, it's not difficult. And I love that each chapter's a couple pages or 3 or so long. So it's not like, oh, I've got to get through this book and, it's this many chapters with hundreds of pages. This is actually a very easy read, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It is an easy read. And I think you get to understand the people in the books relatively quickly. Bradley Sowash, who is a composer, Tim Topham, who's from Australia, Shirley Wang, who is an international renowned opera singer. When I look at somebody like Randall Faber, who has written books in multiple languages, I think he's in 10 languages. So when we see, and to be honest, sometimes when I reached out to the authors, such as Randall Faber, who is also a friend of mine, but I thought, will he say yes to being a contributor? Christopher Norton is a renowned composer. Many, many music teachers have been using his materials for many years. So I was honored to really have them say yes, Yin Yang Yang. When she said, sure, Christopher, see you. I was honored. David A. Jones from England. So it was an honor. And I wanted to make sure to represent countries around the world in all 5 books. So it was really a delight.
Each of the books are part of this 5-part series. I guess maybe that's what I want to say. And each book focuses on something different and unique from the other. I had someone say to me last night when I was sharing these books with them that, you have the one that has captured the lead. The other one that I have is why 29 musicians. And once again, we get back to the odd numbers. Why 29 musicians climbed to superstar. These are a little more than just self-help books, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And what's wonderful too is that the generosity of each and every one of the authors has also included their contact information. So if you are someone who resonates, with Shirley Wang and you want to become an opera singer, you can actually reach out and contact her through her, her platforms there. If you are a singer who wants to sing, if you're a course creator, Paul Myatt and Gillian Erkstein are from Australia. They have Forte Music. They tell their story. How did you build a company that's now encompasses 5 countries? Like, how did that happen? So it's interesting when we see the early beginnings of a company or an individual and see their growth into stardom. And these are all, as I said, they're superstars. So it was an honor to have them in the book.
It's almost as if these are life lessons learned that they're sharing.
That's really well put. Yes.
And I think that's something that let me ask you this. This book is designed for the beginner, the intermediate, the power player, all of the above?
All of the above. It's designed to inspire musicians to live their dream, their purpose, to take the business of music seriously and to know that they can do it. And that's what it's all about. This series is like a little mini university where you can go to say, well, how did you get there? These were obstacles. Even in my own story, nobody wanted me. Everyone said, go away, little girl, quote. And I said, oh, I'm going to go away and I'm going to create a big publishing company and you watch me, because, when sometimes that's what happens when people say go away, then you either get fire in your belly and shoot to stardom in your industry, or you just dwindle away and accept defeat. It's up to you, right?
When I talk about the 60 books in the Ultimate Music Theory series, along with these 5 books in the Power of Why, let's just take those 5 books. That would actually be a good course curriculum for someone who's maybe self-teaching. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. 100%. And as I said, the contact information is gold in these books. So if you're going through, all 5 books, and you can see the progression of how some of them created courses, right? Some of them became composers. Some of them became superstars as, taking the stage. Like each one tells the story of how they managed to go from 0 to hero. How did you get there? So it's really empowers that. I mean, some of them had to overcome cancer, been told you have cancer, and yet you rose through that, worked through that, and kept that positive mindset. Joanne Barker, and she's one that's in all 5. She's done everything. And when I look at her story, I'm so inspired. Not only did she survive cancer and accomplish this immense thing that she did, she's actually the spokesperson for the breast cancer awareness in Canada. And I'm like, wow. And here you are still, following your path, your passion of music. That's pretty cool.
On the show with us today, Glory St. Germain.
Hi, this is Jeremy Sirota, CEO of Merlin. You're listening to the business side of music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
When you have a Korg synth at your fingertips, the possibilities are endless. Be it digital, analog modeling, altered FM, wave sequencing, or the multi-engine synth, Korg gives you easy access to a variety of features to help you get the perfect sounds quickly. Whether you're a professional musician or just starting out, Korg truly has a synthesizer to help you express yourself. Visit Korg.com or your favorite Korg dealer to get your hands on one of their products to create new music always. Korg, the official sponsor of the business side of music.
Whether you consider yourself a musician or not, music is all around us, and it affects our everyday lives, whether it's background music influencing our shopping habits in a store, organ music adding the vibe to a baseball game, or a playlist convincing us to keep going on that last mile of a run. I'm Mindy Peterson, host of the podcast Enhance Life with Music, where we take a holistic look at music's benefits through the lens of science and medicine, entertainment, and business. You can find me and Enhance Life with Music at mpetersonmusic.com/podcast or wherever you get your audio.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Back on the show with us, Glory St. Germain, who is the founder and CEO of Ultimate Music Theory. She's also an international best-selling author of over 60 books in the Ultimate Music Theory series, and of course the 5 books in the Power of Why Musician series. And one of the other things I love about you when I was reading your bio is you love your coffee black, you love dark chocolate, and you love smiling. And I will testify to you always seem to have a smile on your face when you and I talk. And I just really love that about you. That, and you love dark chocolate. The Power of Why 5-book series, along with the Ultimate Music Theory series, how can people get a hold of those? How can they get copies of those books?
Yeah, absolutely. All of our books are available on Amazon around the world. Also bookdepository.com. So if you go to bookdepository.com or you go to Amazon, simply put Glory St. Germain in the search bar and all 60 plus books will come up. Or you can go directly to our website, ultimatemusictheory.com, and click on the shop and you will see them there as well.
Do you suggest one book over another to get started? Are they all a great place to start?
Yep, they're all a great place to start. When you go to, like, for example, if you go to Amazon and you put in The Power of Why Musicians, all 5 books will pop up. And it also lists all of the authors, and it's also gives you a description about the book. So if you are someone who is interested in composing, maybe you want to read the one on composers first, but I recommend getting all 5. There you go. As you said, Bob, it's an easy read, and you've got some great contacts in there. So it's a little bonus.
What's up for you next?
I'm writing another book.
Of course you are.
I am writing another book. This is going to be a big one. So this is really about ultimate music teachers. And it's really the 12 keys to how they can unleash their teaching superpowers to teach with passion, purpose, and profitability. And it's a book that has been inside me for a while, and hopefully it will be out later this year. So stay tuned for Christmas.
And once again, they can reach you at your website.
Yes. Yep. ultimatemusictheory.com, and the resources are there. Our contact information is there as well. Our phone number, our email address. So I would love to hear from anyone who's interested in learning about teaching music or becoming a music teacher or publishing a book.
Glory, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound design by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Busan.